Hello and welcome to the Mousey Makes podcast. I'm Helen and I'm coming to you from Durham in the northeast of England. It's really lovely to have you here. Anything that I mentioned today you should find a link to in the description box below. I usually do a list of timestamps so that if you want to come back to this episode and find something in particular, then you should be able to just click on the time beside the thing that you're interested in. You can also find me on Instagram, where I'm quite active at the moment because I'm posting something daily with doing the 100-day project, which I'm going to talk to you about another time. So today is just a little catch up on things that I've finished making, things that I'm busy making, and then I'm also going to have a little quick chat about feathers, and finally we're going to go on a little walk through some woods that I haven't been to before, that I've just visited the first time recently. Okay, so what have I been doing? Well, projects that are on the go, only actually one. Can you believe that? One and kind of a bit. So the first is the Mitred-square join as you go leftover sock yarn blanket. And I'm still enjoying doing that, and it's growing slowly. I pick it up some evenings when the television's on, if I'm not choosing to do something else. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I don't know what size it's going to be, and it'll probably go on for months, that project there, so not spend too much longer on that. And the other thing kind of I've got on the go are these crochet hearts, and I'm busy making these at the request of my sister, who is a nurse at hospital in Newcastle. She's a sister on the stroke unit, and Claire, and I'm really proud of her. I'm so proud of people who do that caring role, and she does it so well as well. Anyway, if you don't know about these hearts, they're something that sometimes people use in hospital to give to a very ill patient. They give one heart to a very ill patient and one heart to a close relative, and it kind of helps both to feel still bonded together, and it brings a lot of comfort to some people. That's been particularly important during this pandemic, when visiting has been completely restricted or even not allowed at all at times. So I'm making lots of these little hearts, little stuffed hearts, just big enough to hold in your hand and squeeze gently. And I've already sent her 5 pairs of hearts, and I've got another 2 here, and I'll just keep making them. So it's that's an ongoing project. My other ongoing project is my slow stitching, borrow stitching thing. But again, I'll show you that another time. I just pick that up every now and then when I'm in the mood for that. And yeah, I think I am very easily distracted at the moment, and I think that's the reason I'm doing lots of small projects. Another small project that I was doing was making some fingerless mitts from one of my favourite books at the moment, Knitting from the North. And I started them, then took it all out because I didn't think the colours were right, and they did seem far too bulky in the yarn I was using. So I changed to a different yarn, different colours, started again, and I still think that they're just too wide. I think with fingerless mitts, I want them to fit snugly, and they're just too wide. So I've taken those out, and I'm just going to put that aside for the moment. I don't want to start them again at the moment. I'm a bit yeah, had enough of that for the moment. So that's those. So I think I've got a project not started yet, but which I'm going to cast on very soon using this beautiful sock yarn. And I bought this from the Yarn and Yarns online shop, which is run by the lovely Angela, who has a podcast I love watching. And she has a mystery sock yarn club, which you can just dip into when you want to. So I think this was the February one? I suppose it probably was. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's beautiful yarn. I've never bought this sock yarn before. Zauberball Crazy it's called, and the colour is Gartenpartie. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how that knits up into socks. It's going to be lovely and colourful. Yeah, so yeah, very pleased with that. So things are finished. Let's have a look. Oh yes, socks. These very long socks, which I've knitted for my 11-year-old niece, Nell. And yes, she wanted knee-high socks. I mean, I feel if I wore them, they'd be well over my knees, but I took the measurements that they gave me, so apparently that's okay. And I love them. I think the only thing is I wish I'd done contrasting cuffs, heels and toes. I think they would look nice with contrast. But anyway, they're fine like that, and I'm sure that Nell will love those. And I've also finished the Drucilla shawl that I was crocheting, which is the third one that I've made now, and very happy with that. So hopefully you can see pictures of it now. I love the colour that I've chosen for the border. I know it just looks kind of a beigey colour, but it's really beautiful. It's got little flecks of pink and other colours in it. It's really nice. So lovely. Well, Scheepjes yarn that was. Can't remember the colourways. They're the names of cities, but I'm not sure. The information will be below, so have a look there. And yeah, so then the other things that I've finished are all very small things. You'd think that I'd got mice making out of my system after a couple of episodes ago when I was showing you all those mice that I made. No, I'm still making mice. I decided that LC mouse, who you have probably seen before, needed a friend. So I used the same pattern and decided to make a white one. And he's a little boy, he's called Eddie, and he is named after one of my favourite comedians, Eddie Izzard. So very lovely. And they're already firm friends. Elsie and Eddie, they're very good friends. I've made another mouse as well. Now this mouse is from a book which I learnt about when I was watching the lovely Jeanette on, let me get this right, Clegg's Crafty Creations. Is that right? I'll put the right name on the screen. Anyway, Jeanette is lovely, and she introduced me to this book here, Felt Animal Families, and she'd made a mouse in there because she'd seen my mouse and got inspired to make mice. And so I thought I would like to make one. She made a mouse called Henrietta, and I have made a mouse called Charlotte. So, and she is lovely. Very easy to put together, and I think it probably took me an afternoon to do this. I made her a very simple dress out of my favourite felt of the moment and just put a couple of little mini heart buttons in there. So isn't she gorgeous? Really lovely. So there we go. So that's her. And then I think finally I have this little robin and nest. My daughter came over and she's really into needle felting at the moment. She's just learned taught herself how to do it. She made some gorgeous little things. So she came over with all of her stuff and encouraged me to have go as well. So I made this little robin, and I have made him a nest as well, which I'm really pleased with actually. I'm more pleased with the nest than the robin, but I don't think it's too bad for my first effort. And I love when I've made all of these little animals and things, I seem to really like taking them outside to take photos of them. And when I was outside taking photos of the robin, and also I was taking photos of the felt rabbits that you might have seen in a previous episode, I suddenly had the idea that I wanted to make them into a story, which is what I've done. Which I'm not going to show you today. I'm going to put that in a separate episode, because then I thought, well, if somebody has got a child who they want to show the story to, they can just show them the story and not have all my rambling ones to kind of go through. So there's going to be a story coming up called Robin and the Rabbits. Might even come out on the same day as this episode here. I haven't decided yet. It's not quite finished. So there we go. I said at the start of today's episode that I was going to have a little chat about feathers, which you might have wondered at, I don't know. I've definitely had a bit of a feather obsession lately. Not making them, but whenever I go out for my walks, I am always attracted to those little white feathers that you just see every now and then, just attached to something, or just lying in the grass, or attached sometimes just to the end of a piece of dried grass. You find them all over the place, and I'm really drawn to them for some reason, and even sometimes pick them up and collect them. I have a little box full of these feathers that I've picked up. So I've gradually been collecting bits of video that I've done of these feathers, especially when it's windy, because they look lovely in the wind. And then I decided that I would put them all together into one video about feathers. And then I decided that actually I could use those bits of video for my new poetry podcast, Gentle Words, and just do one all about feathers. Now, obviously there's not that many poems about feathers. There's the very famous one by Emily Dickinson, Hope is the Thing with Feathers. But I found one or two others which refer to feathers or have a link to feathers. And I've even written one myself. Because I just look at these feathers and think, oh, I wonder where you've come from. I wonder which bird you were on, or they all look pretty much the same. They're just white fluffy feathers. And I have bought this book as well about feathers. Yeah, that's how obsessed I am. I've got a book about it, Birds and Their Feathers, and it just tells you all kinds of things about feathers. So from particular different kinds of feathers on birds, and the cultural history of feathers, feathers in different cultures, and feathers in stories. It's really a really lovely book. The Feather, a Natural Wonder. Feathers are among the most remarkable things ever made by nature. They are delicate, complex, extravagant, beautiful and strong, all at the same time. All birds have feathers, which make them unique in the animal kingdom. Feathers enable birds to soar across the skies. Humankind has always dreamed of flying like a bird, and the feather has been an object of fascination to people since the beginning of time. Oh yeah, I was really interested to learn this. I think I might have heard this before, but there's a feather on the moon. And the last page of this tells you about it. There is still a feather on the moon, a falcon feather, dropped by astronaut David Scott during the Apollo 15 mission in 1971 and left there ever since. Scott dropped both the feather and a hammer to demonstrate a famous idea by the 17th century Italian scientist Galileo Galilei. Galileo had argued that objects of different sizes and weights would fall at the same speed in a vacuum where there was no air resistance. This idea eventually led to the law of gravity developed by English scientist Isaac Newton. When Scott dropped the feather and the hammer at the same time, the lack of gravity and air resistance on the moon enabled both objects to reach the moon's surface at the same time. Galileo was proven right again. I just think that's a fascinating fact. There's a feather on the moon. Wow. Yeah, so my next Gentle Words podcast is on the theme of feathers. So I hope you're going to enjoy that if you like listening to poems and things. So I'm just going to round off today with a little walk in the woods. Went and visited some woods that I've never been to before with Sarah, my daughter, the last time she was here. And we had a lovely time. We were the only ones there. It was very ancient woodland that had once been on the site of a coal mine, as is often the way in Durham, where we live. And it was absolutely beautiful. It was a gorgeous day, and it was peaceful, and there was bird song, and it was really lovely. So I hope you're going to enjoy just having a little stroll through the woods with Sarah and I. You'll see Sarah a couple of times. She was really enthusiastically taking photographs of things and generally leaping about enthusiastically. Anyway, here we go. Well, time for me to say goodbye again. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you again hopefully very soon. Okay then, bye.